Well, hey, what is going down, everybody? Welcome back to another brand new Am I Still on the Air? That's right, it is a spoiler review. It is that time once again. So we have assembled the League of Heroes to come back and talk a little Black Adam. Teth Adam, Black Adam, whatever his name may be, the man in black. We are here to talk about Black Adam and all of its spoiler filled glory. And as always, I'm joined by, as you can see right here, over here, I got Frigginz. What's up?
Yo, yo, yo. I'm so excited to talk
Yeah,
about this one.
there we go. And right below me, we got the Peeps. What's up, Peeps?
Yo, yo, yo. Also excited to talk about this one. I love that we don't talk too much about this stuff ahead of time so that when this comes, this am I still on the air happens, I really don't know what to expect from you guys. Friggin seems a little too excited for what I'm expecting he's going to say. And so yeah, we'll see where this goes. But as always, my man, thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. You know what we got to do. We last were here in July for Thor: Love and Thunder. So it's been a hot minute since we've come back together. But we've been waiting for the right film, and we are back now because we have the right film, and that is Black Adam. And you know we love to do it with comic book films. This is the latest entry in the DCEU, a franchise that is definitely had its ups and its downs, its struggles, its a lot of things going on in the DCU at all times, so it's definitely always keeping us on our toes. But this is a project here that has been a long time coming. The Rock, I think, officially was announced by DC to be Black Adam in like 2015.
Yeah.
And
So long
I mean,
ago.
it was a long time when he came out on, I think, Comic-Con or some, con, and was like, I'm gonna be Black Adam. And yeah, and then nothing happened for many, many, many years. And it's funny because I actually saw an interview with Dwayne The Rock Johnson back in, I believe, like 2002. He was doing press for Southland Tales. This is a little movie he did way
Oh
back in the day
man, I
that
forgot
like
about that.
nobody saw.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I,
rough.
and
It's rough.
I don't know.
it's rough, but it has its moments. It has its
I
moments.
disagree.
It's some interesting. Oh,
Just
come
rough.
on, it has its moments at times. It's definitely ahead of its time. But during the press, I saw a clip somebody had put up from the press junket for that movie, and it comes up like, hey, like, weren't you talking about doing like a Shazam movie? And he's like, I actually really want to do Black Adam. He's like, that's my guy. I want to do that movie. We're working on it. We're in the process of trying to make it happen. And it was like 2000s. So just to show you how long this motor has been
20 years
running,
ago. Yeah.
it's nuts, dude. But then yeah, and then of course officially cast many, many years ago. Kind of nothing happened for many years, and then finally putting this thing together, as The Rock says, finally putting it together and getting this film out this past weekend. It was like something I didn't know if we'd ever get to it,
Like
but we're here.
I didn't
The
think
Rock is
so.
one of those dudes. It's like I don't care who he's going to portray. They could say he's going to portray Tiny Buff Tim if that's a character that exists in DC. I would be excited for that. So yeah, I mean,
You know,
to be
I would
honest,
too.
I didn't even really know. I don't really know much about Black Adam like before that announcement, and I think there was something around that time. Maybe it was like the Injustice video game. I don't know, but then
Yes,
it actually got me
yes.
really interested in Black Adam. I'm like, okay, this guy, I like this character. I will say, I'm not gonna say we haven't gotten to negatives yet. I definitely missed the elf ears. I'm gonna just say that.
Of course you do.
Didn't the widow speak? Missed the widow speak too?
Of course you do.
Yeah,
The elf
yeah.
ears. Oh Lord. Well, yeah, the background of this character, because a lot of people don't know much about this character, and then obviously, when people ask what the hell's Black Adam, my response is typically he's the bad guy Shazam, right? It's always been
Yeah.
kind of like the explanation, right? He's the guy in black with the lightning bolt on his chest compared to Shazam with the with the red suit and the lightning bolt. I mean, he's the opposite. And in the Shazam movie, when he first meets the wizard, they kind of show like, hey, there was this one before you, and it talks about this story very loosely. about how there was a former champion and then he abused the power and they had to lock him away. And that was what we got here with Black Adam. So kind of teased up an interesting move by DC to kind of go the solo film route, because of course, once they made Shazam, the original plan was to put The Rock in that movie, because that was when they casted him. And then they were doing the Shazam movie, and it was going to be Shazam and Black Adam in that first film. And then they decided to pivot. The Rock was like, yo, Black Adam should have his own introduction movie, and then we'll bring them together kind of down the road and we'll, piece it. So that's what they ended up doing. Of course, we have Shazam 2 coming out in a couple months. Fury of the Gods. We'll see if there's anything there that links these two together. That's what's going to be curious to kind of see if there's anything at all. I don't think there's going to be, but it'd be nice. Yeah. I hope post credits he pops up and we get something. I mean, there needs to be a tease, because we'll talk about the end of this film, but there should have been, the post credits technically should have been something with Shazam. Especially since there's no one on this planet that could stop me. How about the guy that wears the same symbol on his chest and has your same powers? But I guess that's not where.
So there's another.
There is another. So we'll get to that, of course. But as we move along here, just to like to remind everybody, spoilers. So as always, this is a spoiler review. If you want non-spoiler, listen to my regular show and kind of check out other stuff. But if you haven't seen the movie yet, bookmark this, come back when you get a chance, and then check out the spoiler review. So as we typically do, we like to break this thing down into segments. We talk about kind of what we didn't like, what we did like. We'll talk about the mid-credit scene. We'll talk a little bit about box office. We'll talk about our updated DCEU rankings. And of course, I want to talk a little bit about the future of the DCEU and kind of gauge your guys' thoughts on the next couple years here. So as always, we'll start with overall thoughts. So before we get into spoilers, as we like to do, this is kind of going back to opening night. We all saw it on that Thursday preview night. And going in, where was the expectation? Coming out, where was it at? And kind of what was our overall thoughts leaving the theaters. So Frigginz, take it away, man. What you got?
All right. Well, Black Adam has not been a character that I've particularly cared for a long period of time. Like, he is more within the last 20 years is really where I started to gain in any kind of interest. There was a really cool animated DC film that came out. Let me back that up. It was a short. The animated films would have these like little shorts, and they had like Superman and Shazam fighting Black Adam. And I thought, oh man, that dude looks powerful. And then after that, I kind of dug into the comics a little bit, but not too much. He's not been one of my favorites. So as far as the comic book like interest, that was not very high on my radar. When they announced that it was going to be The Rock playing Black Adam, I did, however, say that kind of makes sense. He does seem to have that kind of vibe. And of course, it's The Rock. So you're going to want to go watch The Rock movie. I mean, pretty much anything he pumps out, people are going to want to see. So regardless of how good it is or not, he is a fun time. He's got so much charisma, and he's just really cool to see on the screen. So hearing that news, I was very excited. I thought he would be a good foil for Shazam, obviously, or Superman. And then here we are, so many years later before we finally get to see it. So I think it seems like maybe the best way to describe it is like a roller coaster, right? Like, oh, really cool, exciting news, and then it's gone. And like, oh, okay, here it comes again. Oh, how long is it going to be before this movie comes out? So I felt like that kind of roller coaster. But after seeing the first trailer, I got really excited. I thought it looked good. And then Peeps, oh my God, I can't wait to you to talk about your Comic-Con stuff. I did hear you at Comic-Con afterwards telling me about it. I did hear you on your show talking about it. I heard you on Don's show talking about it. And so like hearing that kind of got that excitement going up too. And, and I was like, okay, maybe this is going to be it. I'm finally getting that rated R almost, violent, action packed superhero, anti-hero, whatever you want to call him, that I wanted to get. And that's how I went in walking into the theater. Unfortunately, I feel like I set that bar a little too high, because when I came out of the theater, I was just kind of like, okay. And that was pretty much sum up my like afterwards, just okay.
So Peeps, that's how Frigginz sums up pretty much most of his DC experiences, I believe.
You
I feel
know,
like that we've been down this road before, Fred, and
it's starting to like blur into like Marvel too. I mean, when we did Thor, it was kind of the same thing. But you know, I just get so amped up when they're like, we're taking it to the next level. This is like the most villainous superhero you've ever seen, and he's not gonna pull any punches. And you know, we'll get into some of the things that give me those concerns. But at the end of the day, you know, that was kind of my roller coaster experience to get me in the seat.
all right, Peeps, what you got?
It's interesting, Frigginz, and like you said, we'll
Yeah.
get into it, but he is the most villainous superhero that we've ever seen, and there's a lot of bang that they give us. So I don't know. I'm curious to hear you once we dive more into it. But um I but I do understand what Frigginz is saying. My Comic-Con experience, when I first heard of Black Adam, obviously The Rock is going to be in something superhero related. Let's do it. Black Adam, have no idea who this guy is, but The Rock's going to, you know, he's going to turn it out and make it amazing. And then as the years have gone on, Friggin's mentioned the cartoon, the animated the like video
Short
game.
film. Oh, Injustice.
Yeah. Like the
Mhm.
different area media. Even Black Adam had his own little. They had this. I can't remember this little DC series of villains here and there, and then like Black Adam had his own little piece in there. So yeah, like okay, I got kind of excited for it. And as time went on, and Marvel kept kicking out awesome movie after awesome movie, and DC started whipping out like not really stinker, but just like okay. Wonder Woman, okay. The Batman, you know. So, and I honestly lost faith in the like the production of it. But my Comic-Con experience, as those of you that have listened to me at all in this past year, completely changed my mind. I was super stoked and super excited for everything that this movie had to offer. And listening to, as they called him at Comic-Con, DJ,
Oh,
Mhm.
listening to DJ talk up
There's
there.
some
I was
DJ.
like, who's DJ?
He was so he sounded so excited about this, and I had to think like, is this like those things, you know, passion project, you know,
I've
giving
always
you
wanted to
something?
play this.
But he literally said something in that panel that I'm pretty sure I mentioned, but he said they wanted to add all of the good things, things that people get excited for in the comic book movies, that what's been successful, add all of that into this film, which I feel like they did, but that kind of did it a bit of a disservice, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So all in all, Comic-Con, all that nonsense got me super excited for it. When I was in there and watching it, these moments were happening in front of me, but I don't know, Frigginz, you could probably agree with me, but I think there was something wrong with the speakers at our movie theater, because there are these moments that I feel like we're supposed to hit a lot harder than the sound was actually giving me, and it messed it up. It messed up that experience for me. And when I left the theater, I was with Frigginz. I was very much, I agree. I know. I was very much like, you know, it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm not blown away. I'm like, I'm not, oh my gosh, I want to go buy a Black Adam shirt and run down targets, blasting people with my laser fingers. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't excited about it. I enjoyed it. And I think the more I kind of sat and just been, you know, we'll get into the later feelings of Peeps in a bit. But when I left the theater, I was like, all right, that's a good movie. It's a good movie. So I was angry about the trailer. Trailer spoiled the movie for me,
As they always do. That's why you gotta go
as
my
all the
route.
DC movies do.
Don't watch trailers, guys. Don't watch trailers. I'm telling you right now.
Disagree.
Ant-Man trailer dropped today, and I was like, nope, not gonna do it.
Ant-Man trailer don't show shit.
Oh, you haven't watched it, Frigginz?
Negative.
Oh,
No,
I guess
because
you're
it's
not going to be
Frigginz, man.
listening. You're not going to be listening to the People's Forum then, I guess.
I'm
Yeah.
probably still listening.
I disagree with you. I don't think the trailer spoiled it. In fact, I think the trailer kind of took things down a totally different direction. They definitely swindled kind of what the story was. So I like that they kind of shifted it on everybody to kind of switch it up with what the actual story was.
Hmm.
So you can talk about what you think it spoiled, but I don't
Yeah.
think it spoiled shit.
All right.
So,
All right.
um, all right. So overall thoughts. This was a movie like we talked about, been a long time in the running. What I was really stoked about this movie, and Peeps kind of touched on it, is the passion project aspect, right? Like this is a character that it's not just The Rock being like, hey, they asked me to be this character and I signed on. Like this is a character he went to Warner Brothers and said, I want to do this. Like, I want to do this. I want to be involved in this. He's a
Yeah.
producer on Shazam. His company is behind Shazam and he got that all going, So it's interesting that he finds, that's something he wants to be because this is a guy that can sign on to probably any superhero character he wants to be, and he chose to be like Black Adam, right? Growing up, he was a fan. This was a guy he really enjoyed. For him, it was personal. It was a brown superhero that really connected with him that he didn't see on screen with anybody else. There was a deeper connection there for it, and he liked how powerful he was because growing up, Superman was his favorite character, and he was like, I wanted somebody that was that powerful, but that I could relate with, and it was Black Adam, right? And especially the anti-hero kind of vibe of it. So, and that, of course, is where the movie leans into, right? Like, I'm not a hero, I kill people, but I still try to do the right thing, kind of. So, it's a good balance, and
Yeah.
I like that. So, I was super super excited, obviously, and I'm a fan of DC. I'm a fan of DC as a whole. I've enjoyed the whole DCEU, regardless of how everything has gone over the years. This
Are
is
you a fan
just
of The Rock?
that's
Yeah, I was
oh, you
waiting.
know that. Yeah. Well, I was gonna get there, but yeah, always been a fan of my good old buddy DJ, who grew up watching, like obviously I'm a big wrestling fan. Been with The Rock since the mid 90s when he debuted as Rocky Maivia in the
Yep.
WWE. And kind of has been on this journey with him as he slowly transitioned into being an actor. And he was only in WWE for 6 years, and he's been active now
Wow.
for over 25. So I mean, he's more of an actor than he is a former pro wrestler at this point.
Yeah.
So, it's really, really cool to see what's transpired. And obviously, he's the biggest star in the world, honestly, at this point.
Seriously.
Television shows, movies, the guy does everything. He's got tequila, he's got energy drinks. Like, this guy does not sleep. He just churns money. And
And it's crazy. Like somebody like that on that level, you think would just be like this total prima donna, but he just seems like
Mhm.
that really cool dude that you could just
Yes.
talk to, and he's just like, yeah, man, and he's busy, he's got someplace to go, but he'll give you like a minute, to kind of humor
Yes.
you.
And I
I don't
love
know.
his work
No.
ethic where he's like, I'm gonna put in to make this work. Like, and you better
Yeah.
put in to make it work too. Like he expects what he, that level that he's pumping out there.
Mhm.
And you gotta respect that so much.
Yeah.
No, totally. I mean, you've never heard anybody in Hollywood say a bad thing about the guy. I mean, everybody
Well,
like
there's
he's a
one
true
person.
guy. What, you?
No. I was thinking more Vin Diesel.
Oh, you're Vin Diesel. Get the fuck out of here. And that's The Rock calling him out on his work ethic
Yeah,
because,
that
like
was
you
the
said,
other
he
way
wants
around.
everybody to match him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Vin Diesel's being the jabroni, not The Rock. So,
Can you
yeah,
define
but yeah,
jabroni with sorry, never mind.
jabroni, loser.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the dude is like, yeah, I mean, he's just the nicest guy in Hollywood. He makes time for everybody that he can. And that's why he is like the most beloved star in the world, like right now. And people gravitate to him because of his charisma and what he brings to the screen, right? So yeah, so super high expectations. Love the trailer. Movie was supposed to come out back in July, and then they shifted everything again on us, which
Yep.
then pushed it back to October.
Yep.
Because October was actually when The Flash was supposed to come out, and then they bumped that to next year, and everything kind of shifted. So they moved Black Adam to October. And again, we were like, man, we ever gonna get this damn movie?
Yeah.
But we did finally get it. And so yeah, so going in very excited, had the preview night, went in IMAX, loved it. Just really kind of gave me what I wanted, right? Like I wanted to see The Rock kick ass. I wanted to see heavy action. And really that's that's the main thing, and that's what I got out of it. So walking out, we were really excited about it. Geeky Pat went with me. We were all just clapping and hollering at the end, especially with different things happen.
What?
And just the crowd was really hot and really good for it. And we just had a good buzz after leaving and just talking about all the really cool shit that had just gone down. So overall thoughts, just really excited, really happy. Couldn't wait to go see it again. I did go see it again a second time over the weekend with the fam. And it was a really good second viewing too. I wish I would have saw it in IMAX or Prime the second time, because to me it's just so downgraded when you watch on a regular screen. I'm just like, it's always darker and just like, I'm like, man, I miss that big vibrant screen. But the nice thing about it was my daughter was very lukewarm on going to see it. She wasn't big on the trailer. She felt like, it doesn't, I don't know how I feel about this one. Again, a character she knows nothing about, but was like, hey, let's go. And then afterwards, her being like, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And she was
Oh,
super
that's cool.
stoked and really ended up liking it. So, yeah.
And
So
she's going to be
I was like,
Black Adam
yes.
for Halloween.
Maybe next year.
Okay.
So we'll see. So but yeah, real great overall thoughts. So
Yeah.
all right, so getting out of that and then moving into, as we like to do, we like to get the negative out the way. And so we always start with what didn't we like. And I will actually kick this one off just because I have very little to say and I feel like the rest of you will go off on stuff. So I'm gonna get
What?
mine out the way,
He
especially
said I'm
Peeps, as he
nitpicky.
said he's
What?
been marinating on it for a couple days, which just makes it even worse. So I feel like I need to record these like right after the theater when he's in a better mood and has
Yeah.
time to think about it, because he overthinks all the movies, and then 2 days later we go from liking it to like me. So what didn't we like now? And this one was hard because I was thinking about this over the weekend, and there's little nitpicks, right? Like we talked about, like why no Shazam, why no mention of Shazam, right? Like, oh, I'm the most powerful being in the world, but we don't contact Shazam. But no one even knows about him, right? So we don't even mention that. The JSA, love the JSA in this, and this will be a part of my positives. But the negative aspect of it is where the fuck is the JSA been, right? Like, I mean, like we're trying to set up that they've been these like world protectors for all these years. Well, in Justice League, wasn't Batman struggling to even find other metahumans to be a part of the team? While Hawkman has been around and Dr. Fate's been around, and and Amanda Waller has known about them. And it's just kind of like, that's the problem sometimes with obviously movies down the road after
Yes.
other things have come out, is we find the connections that we're like, well, if that happened, then what about that? And so that kind of was a piece of it that was kind of a head scratcher to me, was kind of just, where has the JSA been? And why didn't we not at least even mention that there was this other team, right? I like the idea that the JSA is kind of international, right? Like they handle the international stuff. That's why they went to conduct, right? And the Justice League is America. So you have kind of like your home base team, even though it's the Justice Society of America, but they never said America, so it's just Society.
Sure.
And and the way that they explained in the movie was that they handle the international, safety of everybody kind of thing. So little nitpick there. My biggest gripe with this film was probably the little kid, the little boy. He drove me nuts, especially because I just wanted him to get off the fucking skateboard. It was driving me so crazy that everything he did in this movie, he was on the goddamn skateboard. And I was just like, stop it, dude. Like, even like when he was trying to escape the building, he's like scooting down the aisle on the skateboard.
Yes.
And then like
Fred
after
said
he
the same
riled up,
thing.
dude, I was like, get off the fucking skateboard.
Like maybe
And
if he
then
did some cool thing down the stairs, I would understand. But I'm
the
with
only
you.
cool thing he did was put it on the line and then kind of zip line down it.
That didn't work
But like
out,
that was the only thing. But it was just constant. It was just always like, I'm back on my skateboard and I'm on my skateboard. And then even at the end, right, he rallies the whole troops up. Come on, conduct, like we need you to rise up. And then like everybody's fighting the little demon skeleton guys, and then he's like,
rolling in.
come, and then he just comes skateboarding out, right? And then everybody's like, behind him, and it was just the slow-mo shot of him on his little skateboard, his little fake cape, just kind of cruising in slow motion. And it was annoying. Like at first I didn't mind the kid. I felt like he was a super cheap parody of Freddy from Shazam, right? Because he
Yeah.
was that little kid. Basically, he had the room, he was the big comic book fan, he had the bedroom with all the comic book stuff. He was the one that was like, oh, let me check out your power set. You can fly
Right.
and you can deflect bullets. And it's exactly what happened with Freddy and Shazam. I was like, dude, we're just straight copying this shit now. So it's like, so I can't wait for those two to meet. And then,
Yeah.
so he drove me nuts. But I mean, honestly, other than that, I don't really have much gripe over this. My other big nitpick was fucking Pierce Brosnan taking the helmet off every 2 seconds. I loved Dr. Fate in this movie, but I swear he would do like one magical thing, then he'd be like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" And then, "Oh, I need to go do this." Whoosh, whoosh. Hey guys, what are we doing? And I'm just like, why does he keep taking the helmet off? I hate it's just like that was my beef with the Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire. It was like he always took the damn mask off, and I'm like,
There's,
you're Spider-Man, dude. Keep your mask on.
there's
I
no
know
way we
Hollywood
would
has
know
this
who's
thing
under
of like,
there.
yeah, it's like I know Hollywood has this weird concept of like we got to show the movie star, but it's like, dude, like you don't though. Like he wasn't fighting his fate super often in the movie that we couldn't have gone more than 2 seconds, right? Like he
Yeah.
takes it off even fighting Sabak at the end, and I'm like, why?
There was no
Why?
reason.
Just
Yeah.
so we could see his face when he died, and he, oh, like
Well,
it's
and
just
then
like,
they make it worse
dude,
because they added the Tony Stark internal vision of his face. Like you could have been
yeah.
doing that the whole time instead of having him take the
Right,
helmet
instead of
off.
him take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big nitpick of mine because I was just like, every time he took it off, I just sighed, like, "Oh, dude, again," because he was so cool with the helmet, and I liked the voice that he had, and I liked that they altered that, and he had the actual like Dr. Fate, mannerisms and voice, but then he just, he came through the face through the wall, and he immediately takes it off, and I'm just like, God damn it, stop taking the mask off.
No.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got. It really, those were the standouts to me. Everything else I think I had a lot of fun with, and maybe I'll piggyback off something else you guys bring up. But those are the big standouts to me. Overall, like I said, I really enjoyed 95% of this movie. So
Wow.
those were the big things for me. So I'm gonna actually pivot and send it over to Peeps because I feel like you're gonna go off here for a sec. So I'm gonna let you do your thing. And yeah, what do you
All
think?
right.
I'm just
Please
gonna
don't
get some
leave. Please don't like leave
popcorn.
in the middle of it. Like,
No,
yeah,
I'm just gonna get some
hang out.
popcorn and kick back and relax
Okay.
and watch you.
No. All right. As I mentioned, I feel the trailer spoiled the movie. In a way where the movie wants to make you think that Black Adam is the kid from the very beginning of the movie, the Viva la Revolution kid. And that's not the case because in the trailer he says, "Yeah, they took my child,"
That's it.
and so it's like, okay, so that's not him, and he's acting funny, and he's like very cryptic about, "I'm not a hero. That's not actually what happened." Like, okay, can we just get there? I know that's not you, and then it just takes so long until, "That's not you, is it? That's your son." Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Spoiler, yes, they go to capture him. Is like, we have just make sure that you have some place that we can put him once we capture him. Oh, we got a place for him, all right. And we saw in the trailer where he was like in the thing of water and it's filling up and he's his handcuffs on him. So it's like, okay, so we're going to get there. When are we going to get there? That's what I mean about spoiler. Like, there are pieces of the movie that I know that are going to happen because they kind of focus on it in the trailer. So, and they make it very prevalent in the movie. The whole
They made it
crown thing.
look like in the trailer, though, that scene where he's in the tube and everything, that is like that they're pulling him
How?
out of like
Yeah, I
cryostasis, right? Like
agree.
we need to go get him because you could see he's smaller when he's
Mhm.
in the tube, right? So the trailer sets it up like we need Black Adam, right? Like we need to go get this guy.
Yes.
Like maybe like it's like we start off earlier in the movie, then the threat comes, and they're like, "There's only one guy that could stop him. It's Black Adam, and we have him frozen over here on ice.
Yeah.
We need to bring him back," kind of a
Yeah.
thing. So that was the way the trailer presented it. So
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
It's hard to
agree.
say like spoiler because I mean,
I
yes,
just
it's
knew it
showing
was
the scene,
coming.
but
I just knew
it
I w
presented in a different way.
I was hoping it was going to do what you had said and just kind of mislead us a little bit. It's like, oh, it showed us that, but that's not actually what happened in the movie. That's what I was hoping for, but no, everything that they showed.
This is the benefit of not watching the second trailer was I didn't see that scene, so I wasn't expecting anything.
Yeah, and even the whole thing with the drone talking to Black Adam, saying like, "Yeah, we got our eye on you," and it's like, okay, that hasn't happened yet. That must be, it's credits now. That hasn't happened. That must be what's going to happen at the end of the movie. So I don't. That's what I mean for spoilers. So all right, done with that. I always like a good villain in my movies, and this is a difficult one, right? Because our villain is also our hero. Is that what we're doing? No, not really. There is an actual villain in this movie, somebody that we all needed. It's the Batman v Superman thing that they've been doing forever. The Dom versus the Rock, or the Optimus Prime versus Bumblebee. They always make it look like these two sides are fighting, but there's actually a greater evil way over there. I know, I get it. That's what's going to happen. I just would have liked the villain to be a little, I don't know, maybe intimidating, maybe I more personality. I don't know. Like, I like the way he looks. His design was great, and even though he was just a CGI monster, they did pretty well with him. He definitely seemed very intimidating.
Straight out the comic.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about it. Yeah, it looked cool, but I don't know. I just would have liked a little bit more from my main villain. And even like in terms of story plot, like they didn't spoil this in the trailer. And one reason why Frigginz doesn't like sit next to me in the movies, they show a guy and I'm like, that's the bad guy. That's him right there. that's going to be the main bad guy. And he, the thing falls on him. He's not dead. Ain't no way he did right now. Yeah, watch.
Dude, that was easy to see. My daughter predicted that. She was like, "He's bad." The second he popped on screen, I was like, "You're good."
He's the guy that played Jafar. Of course, he's going to be the bad guy. He only gets cast as the bad guy.
Typecast.
Right? Yeah. Yep. So, all right, cool. So yeah, I don't know. I just would have liked a better villain overall. This movie. Something how do I explain this? Each Guardians of the Galaxy, it has a theme, a feel. Whenever we go into a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we get that same kind of feeling. When we go like Black Panther, freaking Wonder Woman, like the movie, they has its own feel to the movie that makes it feel unique than Aquaman or any other movie. It's kind of its own theme, whatever. This movie I feel was lacking that. It didn't feel like, it felt like a bunch of movies. It was like, Quicksilver from X-Men, and there was also a little bit of Doctor Strange, and I guess Falcon left the Winter Soldier and hung out there a little bit, and there's a little bit of Ant-Man in there, and I guess Storm was there too, hanging out, and all these characters. And then again, is this like a Shazam, like a kid and his genie, and the genie is going to do whatever the kid says kind of movie? No, not really. He's kind of off doing his own thing, unless the kid's in trouble. Then he's like, it was just all over the place, and that it kind of bothered me. It was a whole bunch of movies kind of mushed into one.
But you even mentioned earlier that he was saying he was trying to give you the best of all the different comic book movies, that we're trying to give you kind of a hodgepodge. Like, here's all the things that you all love from all these other movies. So we're going to kind of give you a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, but like, what about something, something old, something borrowed, and something new? Like, give me something new. I don't know. And the whole Quicksilver scene, you shouldn't put that in the beginning of the movie, because you got Peeps over here saying, wait a minute, if you can just Quicksilver anything at any fucking time and just, oh, there's a rocket, let me turn the rocket the other way and just wipe out an entire squadron of people, why can't you just get one fucking kid in the arms of a guy without destroying everything? Just doom 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 doom. and then just still get the kid and move him to the side and have the guy go like he's going to punch himself or something and pull another guy's pants down. Do that whole thing instead of just, I don't know. Anyways, that was weird. So, okay.
Scene was awesome.
It was cool.
There were moments in the movie that I was confused about and I questioned, and then they would answer it afterwards. And I feel like it was a little backwards. I'm like, this whole Justice Society is there. And I'm sitting here. I didn't yell at Fred, but I'm like yelling at myself, like, why are you there? Like, what kind of jurisdiction do you have? Like, you're not even supposed to be there. They have their own problems, and now you're trying to stop the problems that
he's lying. He
thing
did
that's
say
helping
that to
them.
me.
I didn't say it to you. I was
Yes,
talking to
you did.
myself. Don't listen to me when I'm talking to myself. But yeah, but then they answer it later on. I'm like, why didn't they just answer that to begin with? Like, hey, he killed a lot of people at one time. It's like, okay, he killed a lot of people that were enslaving. I mean, that's just like saying a superhero popped up and killed all the Nazis. Are we going to be afraid of that guy when he arrives? No, we're probably going to give him a high five. Like, you stopped a lot of evil people, and that's all he did back then. But the Justice Society needs to stop him. Like, we got to get him behind bars. Yeah, you and me, buddy. And you got your ass kicked like 7 times, Birdman. Like, you're not going to stick with him this time. I don't know, man. Like, and then the whole thing with him not being the son and him why did they wait so long to tell us that? Like, it was some big Sixth Sense, he was a ghost the whole time kind of reveal. Like, just open with that. I don't know. I don't know. Anywho,
Gotta wait for the payoff. You're so impatient.
It said it in the trailer, though.
They didn't though. They made in the trailer. They made it seem different. They set up the whole dialogue of that he became Black Adam after his family was murdered and he became the god. Now, it had nothing to do with the kid and about the whole revolution and about the kid giving him his powers. The kid actually being the real Black Adam. Like, none of that was in the trailer. Like, the way that it was set up was that Black Adam became it because his family was enslaved, and that was kind of like he was presented the powers of the gods to get payback for that, which was different than the way it played out. That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like the trailer did a good job at kind of narrating a different story than what it actually was in the movie.
I'm with Peeps on this one. I was just like, oh, it's not the son, it's him. It's the dad. like right off the bat, it's the dad.
That's the dad. That's why the dad kind of looked like The Rock. He was a little bit off screen. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I noticed it a lot the second time I went to the movie, and there's a scene where he comes up and talks to the kid at the beginning, but they're kind of side profiling. You could tell at that point, knowing and looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, that's The Rock.
Well, I already knew in the
beginning.
Sean
like hit me in the arm and he's like, look, there he is.
I'm sorry, Fred.
I wasn't paying attention.
I saw it too.
So.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that's really all I have for my nickety pickety.
All right, good. We're moving on. So friggin' nitpicky.
I know that you bring me here to share all my deep, insightful thoughts, but honestly, you guys have covered almost everything. So I guess I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. I have to echo a lot of what Sean said. I feel the same in everything that he noted. I was right there on par with him. The thing that got me the most was like what you said, Don, was the not just the kid, but like that whole like subplot. I love Sarah Shahi. I probably didn't say that right, but I
you said
love her. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
So this isn't any knock on her or anything, but like that whole subplot, I think you could take that entirely out of the movie and it still works. You'd have to tweak some things here or there, but ultimately I felt like this whole, like the kid is the catalyst that makes him be not that bad and kind of have this turn to do the right thing. I don't think that is needed, and I think it took away from his development. I much rather had seen him come out, wipe all these bad guys out, and have like this old internal process of trying to come to these conclusions without having to have some sort of catalyst there to create that, i.e. the kid. And I think
It's
it's
the
too,
MacGuffin. That's all
yeah,
it was.
exactly. And it's so played out. It's things we've seen a million times. And the symbolism of that being, the mirror of him losing his son and his wife, and so he doesn't want to lose these two people. And I don't know, I thought it was just an easy way to go out of the overall story. So that was one of my biggest aspects. And then you mentioned like The Rock talking about how he wanted to bring in all the aspects of comic book movies that we love, but in truth, like all it did was bring in all the stereotypes and the kind of cliches, maybe is a better word, of all the different superheroes that we've already seen. Sean mentioned the Quicksilver scene that we saw from the X-Men, and it wasn't anything new or different. It was a slow-mo of moving things around while also playing some classic old school cool songs,
Sonic
right?
the Hedgehog also did.
Right, yeah. And so it's been done a bunch now.
It's
And
a cool trick, man, and
it
it's
is a
always a
cool
cool ass
trick.
scene. I don't care how many times we see it. It's a cool ass scene.
I complain about it, but that was probably my favorite scene of the whole movie. But my point is like
So good.
that's just one aspect of the things that they were stealing from all the other movies. And I know all the movies steal something from whatever, but I felt like this one was taking too many of those things and trying to mash them into a gumbo. And it only convoluted the story. I think you would have had a better story of focusing more on his villainousness. I wanted, this is always the problem, right? Like we have what we think it should be like, and then we come out and we see someone else's interpretation, which is never exactly in par with what our interpretation would be. Reminds me of getting a steak. You go to a restaurant, you get a steak, and like, I could have cooked it better, right? Like they don't get it just right. You cook it at home, you get it exactly how you want it. Like you're the in control.
Are you making a film, Fred? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah,
movie?
that's the latest news I'm dropping here first. Sean is going to be the superhero, Don's going to be the villain, and I'm going to be the sidekick.
All right.
So, but no, in seriousness though, like again, I just felt like it was too much of a mixture of these things that we've seen before. I also wanted them to really lean more into the villain aspect. We were talking Black Adam. We're talking this dude who is a conqueror. I mean, I don't know the original history of him, but originally he was a villain. And then when I got into him, it was probably early 2000s, and starting to read in the books at those times after the New 52 kind of came out. And granted, it's a little different, but like the idea there is that he conquers, he rules this area with an iron fist. Nobody
people love him for it though, too, don't they?
Yes and no. It's like any oppression is like there's a lot of people that say, yeah, unless you're the one that's being smashed by that fist, right? So that was the story I was kind of hoping for, was like him to come out and he's like, I'm doing this, I'm freeing the people from this, this bad group or organization. But then also I wanted to see like how that can negatively impact them. So
I do like that moment that when he sat on the throne. It's like they almost were going to go that route.
Right.
And then, I do like that they kind of touched on that a little bit.
But see, this is what it's like. They're leaning too far onto that connection with, I think her name was Isis, according to IMDb, with Sarah Shahi, and the son, because if they lean into that, then what does that mean? How is he going to be a villain? They're going to die, right? So if it mimics the same loss that he had, then that's where he comes in and be the true, or it becomes the true villain. That's I feel like it's too easy. It's low hanging fruit. Like, be more complicated. Like, give him some depth. Make him make these choices on his own. And I think that would bring it in and make it even more impactful. But nonetheless, it is what it is.
They gave him a kryptonite. That kind of bothered me too. I didn't mention that.
I feel like you have to have a kryptonite. Like, if you don't have a weakness, then you are just unstoppable. And and I don't like, obviously, the CGI villain at the end was, I was kind of wondering where they were gonna go, like who's gonna become the villain. I honestly, I wish it would have just been him. Like, I feel like he could have took out the league or whatever, but but I don't know. I don't know what I would have done totally differently. With that, but there's just some of those aspects of the story, and that was really my biggest beef. I guess I'll add one more little component because I don't want to be talking about negatives all day long. But like the other thing, I wanted it more violent. Like they came in here saying that we were going to push the envelope, just like Moon Knight, and he had the classic "I'm going to throw the guy far until he dies," which one is super effective. So I get it. And two, it was funny.
Sorry, it wasn't more gruesome.
But yeah, I mean, like, dude could like just like
He killed motherfuckers. I don't know how much more he wanted.
I waited for you to get up there, didn't I?
There was a glimpse of a making up for it at the end when he tears the dude in half, and I was like, okay, that's what I was.
So you wanted some rated R because, like DX said, he killed a lot of dudes in that movie.
Exactly. It was violent. It was violent.
I always want a rated R movie. I want Star Wars to be rated R. I want Toy Story to be rated R. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I'll stop there so we can move on to some good stuff.
Mm-hmm. What I want to touch on real fast about the villain, right? Because I know that is a subject I see a lot of people bringing up, and I totally agree, right? It's a throwaway shit villain, right? Basically trying to be like, it's the evil Shazam, right? Say our name, right? It's the demon. Instead of wizards, it's the demon. Say our name, Sabak, right? Now I'm like Shazam, but I can do fire instead of electricity. So I get it. But I also get why they did it, right? Like it's the first movie, it's an origin story. They just needed a throwaway villain for the end of this movie to have the final fight, right? You had the big fight in the middle with Black Adam and the JSA. So they already fought. So having them just fight again at the end of the movie, even if Black Adam went fully bad, it would have just been pretty much the same thing we already saw earlier in the movie. Having that moment at the end with Sabak coming and then kind of forcing Dr. Fate to go get him out the jail and be like, we need you, right? And then having him come with the fight because they were all going to get murdered without him there. And then just having somebody that he can come in, team up with them for a minute and whoop that dude's ass, rip him in half, and now we've saved the day, right? So it doesn't bother me because, yes, it is a shitty throwaway villain, but it didn't bother me at all because it just fit the narrative of this film to just have something like that, just to kind of have that third act and kind of have that team up, right? Because I wanted to see him fight with the JSA after we've already seen him fight against them earlier in the movie. So I don't think The Rock in this character is going to stay this kind of anti-hero. I think this is a setup. It's the first movie. Most of the general public doesn't know who this guy is. So you can't come out the gate with him being a full-blown bad guy, just killing everybody, because then what is there to really like, right? Like, we might think it's cool, but for the general audience, they're like, what the fuck? I went to go watch this new Rock movie and he just killed everybody, and it was that, and it was over. Like, so you set up who he is, you show how powerful he is, and then you set up the tone that we get at the end in the post credits, right? When we won't touch like just more of the Amanda Waller part, right? Like, okay, cool, you escaped my prison, so now conduct's your prison, and if you step out of line there, we're gonna have a problem. And then of course he's gonna be like, well, fuck you, no one's gonna tell me where to stay, and that just increases where they can kind of go from there. And then you can set up Shazam, Superman, Justice League, everybody going against Black Adam as your big bad in a future movie, right? Like you could have a Justice League movie where they're fighting Black Adam. So
he's the Thanos.
I mean, it could be, yeah. I mean, I think this was just, The Rock's been tweeting for years, the hierarchy of power is about to change, right? Like all this stuff. This was an introduction, and I don't think you could have gone full-blown bad guy with him in this movie. Like you had to set it up this way, get audiences know who he is, and then you pivot kind of going forward. So
well, yeah, because
that's why I didn't
when
mind
he does go villain, I'm pretty sure it's going to be something tragic that happens, and you're going to feel for him, and you're going to hopefully, like, though, you're kind of extreme. I kind of get it. Like after what you've been through, I get why you are now snapping necks left and right.
I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be that
because he's all rage fueled, right? Exactly. She's gonna end up his queen, and then and then she's gonna end up getting killed on accident in a battle.
Skateboard's gonna be on fire, just rolling.
Skateboard's just gonna go rolling down the street, and You know,
I
like
know
it's
I
just, and
said
then we're off to the races.
I know I said I was done, but I'm just gonna throw this out. We don't even have to talk about it. But I hated the escape scene. I thought that was the dumbest thing. I was like, oh, but anyway.
Okay. Oh, the Rock escaping?
Yeah, because The Rock is
The
always
Task
like,
Force X site.
yeah. He's always unstoppable. He's always this tough dude. He can always get out of anything. And it was nice to have a film where it made sense why he could do that because he was this powerful being. But then when he was the normal guy, he was just back to being the Rock again.
Oh, he was still just
Well,
the
I mean,
Yeah.
normal
like,
Rock.
Yeah,
yeah, he was normal, and the guards all had guns, and somehow he just was
exactly.
hand to hand
Gear.
fighting them.
Yeah,
And
so
then that
that
thing
bothered
was
me.
hella deep too. That was hella deep
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
in frozen water. And somehow he's like,
It's an ice bath. It's fine. It's fine.
I know. I wish he would have just ripped off the thing down there, said Shazam, became
That would
Black
have been
Adam,
That would
whipped
have
fine.
their
been so
asses
much
real
better.
quick, shot up through the water, right? So but then you would have the nice flashback, oh, I'm back with my family. It's not your time, Dad.
Like
Say
you
the
could have
word.
done that while
You
he
have
was.
that while he's in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
True. You have that while he's dreaming, yeah.
Anyway.
Speaking of injustice, that made me think of that when Dr. Fate did his little whoosh, whoosh, whoosh thing on the jail cell that he was in. Like that was straight out the video game when you do his little like special move. It was pretty cool. I thought that
Oh.
was awesome.
I
Because
guess.
yeah,
Nice
I
catch.
love the Injustice game.
Yeah, that
That's
game's
so
awesome.
cool because that's where a lot of the Black Adam stuff came from me too. Was that video game and Dr. Fate was some cool stuff. All right, so we pivot now to hopefully some good stuff as to what we loved, right? Like what were some of the standout moments? What did we like kind of coming out of it? Things that kind of stuck with us. And for me, a lot of it's the action, right? Like I think this movie has some badass action. The fight scene between him and the JSA when they first show up, that's ultimate, like that's my top of this movie, right? Like when he's got the two guys in the air and the plane comes up and then he's just like and like they just dropped him and Hawkman just jumps out the plane, catches him, but then the fight goes on and it goes on for like 10-15 minutes, dude.
It's a
It's
long fight.
a long battle, as he takes on each member and I loved it, man. I even loved a lot of the humor that they had because it did have a lot more quips and comedy in it than I thought this movie would have, right? I thought this movie was going to be pretty just straightforward. I didn't think it was going to have really much humor at all. And I thought he had way more humor, especially once he was, like coming up with the catchphrase and the whole back and forth with Dr. Fate about sarcasm and stuff like that. Like I liked a lot of that kind of stuff, right? Hawkman I thought was badass. The JSA as a whole was badass. I really enjoyed all four of them. Dr. Fate was amazing. Pierce Brosnan, dude, killed it. I mean, I was so excited when he got casted in this role, and he was Dr. Fate, man. He was awesome. He looked awesome. And I know a lot of people keep like Peeps did it earlier, the comparisons with Doctor Strange and Falcon and all this stuff. Dude, these characters are around longer than them. So, if anybody's copying anybody, it's a little bit the other way
The
around.
magic even
But
had that mirror-like effect. Like they could have done
but that's what he
something
does,
else.
son.
Okay.
But
I don't
one of the
know.
big things he does is the duplication. Like Doctor Strange will do that shit. Like he constantly did the duplication.
Thanos, like all the Doctor Stranges whip him at the same
Yeah,
time.
okay,
Like,
that was one time.
it was
Dr.
one
Fate
time.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Dr. Fate doesn't work. Anyways, I just think the whole action scene going against Black Adam I thought was badass. Like I said, really love the humor. And just visually, I just thought visually the movie looked amazing. I thought the flying stuff looked better than anything we probably have ever seen. Like him hovering all the time was like really cool, right? Like it
That
was
was
just
cool.
such a power move of that he never went down to the ground, right? Like he was always just, and then that one scene he bust out through the wall and he's just floating through the city, like just literally in a stand-up position, right? And
Like
like
M.
and just
Bison, yeah.
just that dominating, just I'm just floating like all the time, which made it even bigger, like when before he says Shazam and kind of gives up because he hurt the kid on accident, and then he comes down and they make a moment of his feet touching the ground and him kind of being like, all right, like I'm gonna do what you want me to do, you can lock me away, kind of don't let me say the word again. But
What's funny
even the
about that
rescue scene.
was
Go ahead.
that like seeing him floating around when I first was noticing it, I was like, why is he always floating around? That's weird. And then I thought about it
Yeah.
more, and I was like, wait, no, that's not weird. That's awesome. Like, if I could fly,
Yeah.
why would you walk?
Right? Why are you
know?
walking anywhere?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, even when he leaves the apartment, he's going down the middle of the staircase, just
Yeah.
slowly, just
Yeah,
floating
the kids.
down,
Yeah.
right? As the kid's going down the stairs talking to him. Like, it was just little moments like that. I really like the scene when they do finally team up and they're going after they're going to find the kid after he's been kidnapped. And that I really like that slow-mo scene of just him shooting the kid and then him kind of deflecting it and Hawkman kind of covering her up with his wings. And just kind of how everybody kind of deflected and kind of was doing their thing to protect each other. Fate grabs the kid and kind of does the crystals around him. So like just a lot of visuals really stood out to me. And like I said, a lot of the humor parts, because you go back to him not throwing the first guy, but throwing the second guy after the motorcycle chase.
Yep.
And then Fate shows up and he's like, let me talk to the guy. I can break his mind. And he's like, and he's like, oh, you killed him, didn't you? And then the guy just goes, like in the distance, and he's like, yeah, you didn't make it. And it's just like, just the little moments like that of the levity, and it's just like, sarcasm. He's like, no, that's just straight up lying. Like, you don't get it, and the Man in Black stuff, like, so and obviously ripping Sabak in half. I was not expecting that at the end. Every time he grabbed him by the horns, I kept thinking, like, is he gonna like rip his horns
like
out, or is he gonna
Hellboy his
pull 'em
horns or
apart?
something?
Yeah, because even when they're all attacking him on the throne, he's still like pulling back on the horns. And then when they're like, control it, you can control it, and he shoots up in the air and just rips them in half. So I just again, visually looks outstanding. Obviously we'll get to the mid-credit scene, a whole nother big love moment. So we'll save that. But yeah, for me, it's just a lot of all the action stuff. I think the pacing's really good in this movie. It starts off a little slow as we're kind of getting through the story to kind of get things going. But once she says Shazam and unlocks him and he comes, right, and the first attack happens with the guards, we're just off to the races at that point. And this movie really doesn't slow down at all for the rest of its runtime, which that's another reason why I loved it so much that I did, because for me, it's about the pacing, it's about the action, it's about just kind of having that fun time that just kind of keeps going and doesn't lull at all. And this movie doesn't lull like at all to me. So those are the big standout things for me, kind of just off the top of my head. Peeps, what you got?
If it's okay with the host, would like to hand this off to Frigginz so that he can have his 3 cents, and then I can take whatever's left over.
Get the scraps.
Yes.
Well, all right. I mean, if that's cool with Don, I'm going to go ahead and point out my favorite thing of this whole film was really, this is going to sound funny, but like the suit designs. No, I mean, I know that might be a little weird to say, but like
if that's you, like
it is, yeah. If you listen to anything that I've been on, but in all seriousness, like since they started making superhero movies, my biggest thing is I want to see the heroes in their costumes. And like X-Men, it was cool to see them in the black leather and at first, but then I was like, nah, that was all right for the first one, but now I want some costumes. And we never really got that, right? And so now that we've progressed and the MCU has, trained us to understand and appreciate these crazy costumes in real world settings or whatever, it was cool to see that we actually had these really cool looking, fairly comic accurate costumes. Now, obviously, some things are a little different and a little modified, whatever, to make them look a little cooler. But Black Adam's costume was completely badass. The Hawkman suit. Think about Hawkman.
His wings looked amazing.
If you look at Golden Age comics and you see pictures of Hawkman or Bronze Age, whatever age it is, and you look at that costume, and you're like, that will never be in a movie. And then like they made him actually look cool. So thank you, Brogy, for agreeing with me that the suits look cool. Appreciate anybody coming in the chat, by the way, and chatting along with us here as we've talked. But yeah, those suits just stood out to me. And by far, the Dr. Fate suit. I mean, I want just the Dr. Fate movie now.
How do you feel about the helmet, though?
In truth, the helmet has bothered me from when I first got to see a good look at it, because I don't like that it's not symmetrical. The asymmetrical aspect to it like bothered me a little bit.
It's fine. I think it's great.
But as I
awesome.
watched it, I thought, okay, this is actually kind of cool.
I bet you really liked when the eyes lit up at the end.
Oh, I sure did. Like when that happened, I looked over at Peeps, and he's like, we're like, nice.
Because it had no eyes the whole movie, and then at the end,
it's like finally. And then
old friend taught me this.
And kind of sticking in that same vein, like along with the costumes, I felt the cast was like another complete highlight for me. You know, obviously we point out a couple negative ones, but if you break it down, like pretty much everyone in the movie did a really good job. Adam Smasher was awesome. Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate was a perfect casting. Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone. I even told people something. I was like, I could just look at her all day, like just keep her on the screen. And I already mentioned Sarah Shahi.
Slow-mo swirls. And...
yeah. So you know that was another thing I wasn't expecting, was that to have these, you know, secondary characters and even tertiary characters stand out almost more. Okay, you can't stand out more than The Rock, but at least capture the screen enough to stand next to The Rock, right? So honestly, like when I think of the film, that's the thing that stands out to me most, is the cast, the costume design, and of course the action. It was fun. You mentioned that already, though, and I did mention my favorite scene was that red door on black red door, and I want it painted black door, and I want to paint whatever that black song. Yeah, that scene was really cool. That was a cool scene.
Oh, the twisted metal.
I like when he grabbed the grenade and he put the grenade in the guy's
his mouth, and he's like,
oh. But the explosion that ensued after that, I was like, whatever. Like, that doesn't make sense, but whatever.
They're good grenades. But yeah, I would say those are my biggest highlights for the whole film, and of course the after credit scene. But Peeps, I'll let you share some things as well.
Before you go, Peeps, I just want to say from a costume standpoint with that I really agree with. That I thought was really cool was the Black Adam suit and the way it was kind of explained, right? Like how he was black because of his rage. You know, like because you see in the flashback when he got the powers, he just had like the lightning bolt necklace, you know, and he was just kind of buff and normal. And then when the family got killed and he shot up to the sky and he was like, like then the black kind of crystallized all over it. And it was just dingy and black the whole movie until he made peace with it. And then when he came back at the very end, he had the cape. And it was a lot more of the yellow accents, the yellow boots, the yellow belt, the yellow arm guards, you know, like the lightning bolt was more yellow. Like I like that it adjusted as he kind of progressed through the movie and just why it was black, right? Like he is because of how he was so rage filled. So I like that there was kind of an explanation to the actual suit, which was cool.
That's so funny because I hate to be the opposite with you all the time.
Oh my god! I was trying to agree with you on suits, and then you're gonna go talk shit. Jesus.
You don't need to explain the suit; it just can look cool. You don't have to have an explanation for it. But
we got multiple looks. It made sense that it would alter.
I like the hooded look myself. I thought that was great.
The hooded look was cool.
Yeah, I did too.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and take it. Thank you, Frigginz. I definitely agree. You know, the suits were pristine. I loved Hawk Dude's suit and his wings, and just kind of how they flowed and how they kind of had like a red, almost like light or glow like inside of them, and they're always just kind of
like on the top.
And they're just always kind of like out, and just I don't know. It was really dope, and just the way the gold looked, and again, like he had the mask on, and then there'd be moments the mask is off, it goes back on. At least that's how I thought it would happen. Anyways, yeah, I agree. But things I liked specifically, you were talking about the cast. I 100% agree. I think everybody freaking killed it. I love Cyclone and Atom Smasher. I love those two and their little dynamic between each other and their cutesy little flirts. I want to see them do their own thing. Honestly, I would be okay with that. Yeah. So yeah, I love those two characters.
You and me. on the jet.
And then again, you're talking about the humor, and he's like, "Hey, be careful! I almost hit you!" And then he, bing,
back in.
Oh no! It's like, we're gonna talk later. He said that one like 2-3 times.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Me and you.
Yeah. That was good.
Well, I like to on when Adam comes back at the end and shows up with Sabak, and then Hawkman looks at him and he goes, "Beat his ass."
Yeah, it's like, you want me to not kill this guy too?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, beat his ass.
Yeah,
he finally came to terms with it.
Yep. I think the scene that hit me the hardest, and I wasn't actually expecting anything like that, was the flashback with his son. Man, like, ever since I became a father, that stuff just hits so much harder in films. And when he's like, he is dying, his wife and I think the daughter or somebody else had died, and the son comes in as big superhero and his father's dying, like any child would do. Like my kids tell me all the time, like, "Hey dad, you're not dying before me." I'm like, "Sorry to tell you this, kid, but it's going to happen." But like, to see that moment where he literally sacrifices his own powers, everything that he has, to save his dad, it's like, wow. And it's just for that instant, for him to get shot by the arrow, like, that hit. And it's like, okay, I get it. Burn this whole place to the ground. Everybody that's involved, even if even the guy's family, like, just burn them all. Like, I get you, Adam. Let's do it. So I don't know. That scene really hit for me. Man, I honestly, like, as much as I can nitpick about this movie, it looked very good. The CGI, that is. Normally when you have superheroes fighting, Black Panther and Killmonger, for example, two guys in suits that you would think would just be guys in suits fighting each other, but the movie turned them into like CGI guys in suits, and it really it was whack. I don't really feel there are many moments in this movie where it looked like a CGI guy floating in the air. Like, it looked like The Rock and whoever, like, Hawkman was, like, actually fighting each other. And like you said, the moments where he's like kind of just floating around and spinning, and it all felt the movie magic worked for me in this movie. Like you're mentioning, the action, the explosions, even those demons at the end when they're beating them up, and I call them the putties. Like, they're just putties, they're just throwaway, children can beat them up kind of villains. But those little skeleton things they're hitting them in slow motion, and just, I don't know, it all looked very good. So yeah, kudos. And this movie, man, this was an expensive movie, and it kind of sucks that it just hasn't made all of that back. And I don't know, hopefully this movie gets like a second.
None of these movies make their budget back in 1 week. So it takes some time.
I gotcha. But
it's only been 1 weekend.
It's not doing too bad either. So
yeah, they're very happy with the results so far.
Yeah. So, man, the cameo, I can't remember his name, James Gunn's wife in real life, her kind of reprising her role for
Harcourt.
30 seconds. It was, I was like, I know her. Fred, is that? Yes, that's her. But is that? Yes, that's her. Shut up. I couldn't figure out, and I was like, I'm trying to have a conversation, and he's just watching the movie, so whatever. But
well, I was telling you, you're right. I'm like, you're right. Okay, stop talking.
Yeah. No, but is that the girl? Like, but yeah.
Well, what's interesting is, like, so is she back on the full task force? Because that was what she was doing in Suicide Squad.
She was,
but then
on
in Peacemaker,
probation,
it was
right?
like they just kind of, they just pushed her off because she was fighting with Waller and all this stuff, and now she's back in this high-tech base. So it almost makes you wonder, kind of timeline-wise, where it might fall.
Sure,
if this is like, if that's after Suicide Squad and then it goes, but no, she could just be back in her good graces after Peacemaker. So
yeah. And thing that they always preach about this movie is, like, The Rock in a suit, like, he's not in a padded suit. Like, when you see those giant shoulders, like, almost eclipsing the back of his head, that's all The Rock. Like, there is no special effects there. That is all him.
Padding.
He's literally wearing tights.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of fun things, and like the humor, the brother. I thought I was gonna hate him, but he was
I liked him a lot.
very like,
Same.
like it's not electricity or
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
right.
yeah. It's okay. I died from electricity.
yeah, yeah, and that too. Like in terms of like culture, you were mentioning Don, like a hero with brown skin. Like they have this country of Kondak, and those internet people that like to go out there and make a big deal out of things, like it's a made up country with a bunch of brown skinned individuals, and it's all even like they're like black skin, black folks in that world. So it's like it's not a real country. Shut up. Just let people have their thing. And I don't know. I thought, yeah, I would have liked though to hear them speak in whatever native tongue they have a little bit more. Like they're just speaking English the entire time, which I guess is okay for the audience. But I don't know. Maybe they could have had that moment where they're talking to each, like in the beginning of Prey, where they're talking to each other and then some language, and then it just converts to English. I don't know. Whatever.
So a
But
nice little nod about that is that so Black Adam, he only speaks English because it's his powers are interpreting it. And if you notice in the movie when he says Shazam and goes back to his smaller self, he starts talking in their native language again. That's all
oh wow.
subtitled after he takes his powers away. So, because that was something that came up was that, like, okay, well, if he's back from that time, they didn't speak English, so how when he becomes Black Adam, does he just know English all of a sudden? So, like, it's because his powers can do that interpret him. But it's a small little thing, but when he says Shazam right before he surrenders to Hawkman, it's all subtitled and he's talking in their native
Well,
language again.
one of the acronyms, probably the Solomon part for wisdom or something, maybe gives it to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
this is
That's
kind of
cool.
cool. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of things that you can praise about for this movie. Honestly, like yeah, the cast was great. Villain was the only blah thing, and I guess all the little. Okay, here. No, we're doing positives. Never mind. Okay, all right. Where'd that whole military thing come from? I don't know, but no. All right, we're good.
Inner gang.
Inner king.
They just wanted
I thought the kid was fine. Like I know you guys got beef with him. I don't have beef with.
I just want him to get off the fucking skateboard. I mean,
I
That was
thought
the
that was
biggest
great.
problem.
That was like
The
a comic
skateboard-
book thing. Like
No,
that's like his thing.
too much.
Like
Too much.
always on the skateboard.
Way too
No.
much. Like you can just
much.
walk. Like you don't have to go
Yes,
every time you get
exactly.
to a.
Exactly.
I don't know.
He would walk 2 steps, throw it down, push 1 foot, on the skateboard, then pick it up and start walking again.
Yeah.
It was just like, dude,
Too
just
much.
walk.
There's
Stop
too
it.
much.
Plus,
I
you
guess
should
you
just
guys-
stayed in the air conditioning vent instead of popping out like a dumbass.
You guys
when the cars
aren't
flew
borders.
before.
You don't understand. Is that what they call it? No.
For skaters?
Borders.
I don't know. Skater boy. I'll see you later,
Skater boy.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's pivot. So, so that's, what we didn't like, what we liked, kind of in between. And then, of
Pivot.
course, we have one mid-credit scene that pops up
Ooh,
kind of right after the main
mid-credits.
credits happen.
What?
And there was a lot of stuff rumored for many, many, many weeks, right? That, hey, this might be something cool happening. Rock's been really working hard. Rock pretty much be spoiling that shit all over every social media post he was doing.
He just wanted
I
to get
watched
people
him
in the
on
theater.
he did. I mean, I understand, like he was like, yo, people want this shit. And he kept talking about how, I love to listen to the fans. I want to give the fans the people, give the people what they want. And so, I was trying to make sure we did something cool to end the movie with. And so there's one thing left to do.
Dun, dun. Nice.
So yeah, so it was a really cool moment. We basically go back, he's in the castle, and the little drone comes down, Amanda Waller on the screen again. She's like, hey, Black Adam, I guess you didn't like my prison, you didn't want to stay in my prison. That's cool, but now conduct's your prison, step out of line, and we're gonna have a problem, and he's like, well, no one on this earth can stop me. And she's like, well, I could send people that aren't from this earth. And he's like, bring them all. And he blows up the drone. And through the smoke, we see someone come down and walk out. We hear that iconic voice. And Black Adam, making a lot of people nervous. We need to talk. And it's Henry Cavill, baby. back as Superman. So big post-credit scene here. This is something that The Rock has said he's been trying to make happen for years. And under the old leadership at Warner Brothers, uh, they were like, no, like we want to do all this other stuff with Superman. We're going to go these different directions. We're going to do Val-Zod, and we're going to do all these different characters, and we're pivoting Superman, right? So we don't want you to do the Henry Cavill version. Which has been a problem, obviously, in the DCEU, right? Like we had the Peacemaker kind of cameo where the Justice League shows up and he's in the shadow, right? And then
Right.
you had the cameo at the end of Shazam when he shows up for the lunch and you don't see no head, and it's just like, come on, man. And even in Black Adam, when he wakes up in the kid's room and he shoots the wall, and then it's the Superman poster and he burns the face
Yeah.
off,
His
right?
face is
And
burnt,
it's
Yeah.
just, and it's like, come on, man. So they've been trying to make this work. Luckily, Warner Brothers just got bought out last year by Discovery, and they have a whole new leadership team. The Rock went over the DC president's head and went straight to the new head of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, and his team, and was like, "This is what I want, and this is what we need to do." And they were like, "Yo, we love the idea, and we agree. He's an awesome Superman. Let's lean into it." And they literally filmed that cameo in September, so it's
Oh,
only they only did it last
Wow.
month. Like that's how late in the game this shit all came to be. I guess like the Rock had said they filmed the cameo with a body double the first time, where kind of like Shazam, where you don't see the face, you just see the body come out of the cloud. And they did that with the early test screening, and the test screening was like, "Oh, that's really cool, but we wish it was actually Henry Cavill." And that's where they kind of sent that to and was like, "Yo, we need to do this." And then they finally
Yeah.
agreed, and they got him in. They refilmed the scene and got him in there. Um, for
He
me,
did a
this
really
was
good job
amazing.
getting rid of the mustache on him this time too.
Getting rid of I know you couldn't even tell it was there. It was awesome.
I like how they had
He
the
has the
silhouette,
nice
like,
curl going.
yeah, oh yeah, the silhouette before he came through. I was like, oh, they're not actually going to show him. It was like a nice little like trick.
Yeah, they
and then
teased
all,
it. Yeah,
and then he
exactly. Because you're
censored.
thinking, nah, is it? Well, because too, by having someone fly down, like it could have been Shazam, right? You
Right.
could have had that whole thing, and then comes out, and it's just, oh, it's Shazam. Like, hey, man, we need to talk. Like,
Martian
but
Manhunter.
doing it, yeah, but
Could you
doing it
imagine?
as
Sorry, I was just gonna say, could you imagine Shazam showing down and he'd be like, "What's up, bro? How's it going?"
right.
You know?
I mean, I don't have any beef with you, but I just want to make sure we're cool. But you're making some
You want to
people
play
worry.
Fortnite or something?
Yeah,
I've seen all the Fast and the Furious movies. It's all about family. So yeah, so this scene, man, like, yeah, it's short, it's sweet, but it did such a punch, man, for the DCEU. I'm a massive Henry Cavill fan. I love this guy. He's my favorite Superman. Y'all know Man of Steel is one of my all-time favorite movies. Like,
Oh yeah.
he is Superman to me. And I grew up with Christopher Reeve and I love Christopher Reeve, but it's just this iteration. I love Henry Cavill. He is Superman. So I've been bummed these last several years where it's been all this like, I don't know what we're gonna do. And it's been kind of odd just because it's not like DC just said we're shutting down the whole Snyderverse thing, right? And we're completely relaunching. It's like you still got Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, you still got Jason Momoa as Aquaman, you still got Ezra Miller as Flash. Everybody's still there. Even Ben Affleck's coming back, in different things. He is for now. That's not going to change. His movie's coming out. He might not be in part 2, but he's going to be in this first one.
Okay.
And you know and so even Ben Affleck, who left the role, still gets referenced, right? Like even in the trailer for Shazam, and he's talking about the Justice League, and he's like, oh, Batman's so cool, and it shows Ben Affleck, and oh, there's this other guy that's fast, and he's got a lightning bolt on his chest, and oh, Aquaman's so handsome and manly, and it's Jason Momoa. Like they reference these characters all the time, but then why are we so hesitant with Superman? It's been a weird dichotomy of like why we do this but we don't do this, and I haven't liked that emptiness. And then at Comic-Con, there was all those rumors, right? Like Henry Cavill's going to pop up at Comic-Con, he's going to be at the DC panel, and it's going to be breaking news, he's coming back, he's doing another Superman movie, it's going to be amazing, and nothing happened. And we were like, fuck, man. Like, and then Rock at the time was kind of dancing around the whole Superman thing. Somebody had asked at Comic-Con, like, who would win in a fight? And he's like, well, it depends on who plays him, right? Like, and he played
Yeah.
into that. because he likes Henry Cavill, man. He positioned for him, he pushed for him, and he was like, "That's the Superman I want to go against," right? Like, and if you're The Rock and you just talked about how big he is and everything, you want somebody that looks formidable to go against you, right?
Yeah,
And that's
for
Henry
sure.
Cavill, dude. That
That is
motherfucker's
Henry
just
Cavill.
as big as The Rock.
Yeah.
So it makes
Yeah.
sense exactly. He's ready, dude, and I love it. And the good news is just early this morning we got the official confirmation that he is back. I tweeted out some stuff this morning, showed a video. He even put out a video this morning thanking the fans and saying, "Hey, it's official. I am back as Superman," and letting everybody know, like, there's no more like we're gonna dance around it. We're tiptoeing. It looks like he signed a new deal. The cameo was just one part. He was like, "Yo, Black Adam was just a taste of things to come. Thank you for your patience. Like, we're gonna go have some fun." And I feel like at the end of Justice League, like he's the Superman we wanted to get to, right? Like we had those humps, like Man of Steel, like he had just become Superman for like a week, and then it was like Batman v Superman was a whole side story where he had to deal with all that, and then Justice League, he dies and then has to come back in Justice League, and then but by the end of Justice League, he is that truth and hero and the all-American dude that we wanted. And then it was like nothing's happened since for many years. And then so it's like having a Superman movie now going forward would be amazing. And then like we said, man, if they do set that up to be against Black Adam or Black Adam be the villain, and I don't know if I think we're going to get a solo Superman movie first, and then we're going to kind of lead with more of a Black Adam thing. And I'll touch more on my thoughts when we talk about the future of the DCEU coming up. But I just love the possibilities here, and I'm just so happy to see him back. I was very happy to see the video of him this morning announcing it, because there was still a lot of speculation. Is this a weird cameo? Did he do it as a favor? Is this just a one-off thing? No, hearing like this is just a taste and more's to come. Oh, dude, like this is a blessing for me. He hasn't really technically done a movie with the DCEU since 2017 when the original Justice League dropped. So that's a long time, man, to not be in any other projects. And now I'm hearing he might have gone or he's going to film something for Flash, because I know he wasn't originally in Flash because they were going to do Supergirl and they're doing the Flashpoint thing and they were going to flip it to Supergirl. So now he's going to cameo in that and maybe fix that up. So here we go, man. Let's fix this timeline and let's rock it. So I thought it was awesome. I will admit the scene was kind of spoiled for me ahead of time because I'm just that guy, and as soon as the scene leaked online, I watched it. So I had already seen it before the movie.
Wow.
And
okay.
I had to watch it, man, because I'm such a big fan, dude. And when I heard that it was there, I was like, I can't wait. And I watched it a couple days before the movie came out. But it didn't change anything because watching it in the theater of the big screen and actually, because you couldn't really hear the audio too well. So hearing just his dialogue, I was just like, yeah, it is tight. And then especially the second time too, kind of knowing it was coming, it was like, all right, here it comes.
The crowd go nuts.
I loved it.
Dude, our crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It did the first time in the IMAX that preview night. It went ballistic. The second time I saw it on Saturday with my family, it was like so. Like some people were like, but like it wasn't as much because it was an afternoon kind of just showing. Depends on your crowd. Those Thursday showings, that's the diehards, right? We're all like, K1, we gotta be there.
Yeah.
And then the Saturday ones like, get to it. Half the theater left and didn't even stay for it. So you just want to be like, sit down.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. But Frigginz, what'd you think, man?
I mean, we kind of said everything. It was the funny thing was, as it was happening, I just kept saying the hair, like the little girl. I as it was leading up to it, I literally sat up and got on the edge of my seat, and I was just like, "Oh, here we go! Oh, here we go!" And
I gotta ask, did you have any idea?
I will tell you, sir, that you ruined it for me. I was listening.
He was not happy about that.
I was so pissed. When we left, I was like, fucking Don ruined it for me. When we left the theater,
I said it was a rumor.
You put it in my head. Like I didn't have it in my head at all. So yeah, that was it was ruined in that regard. And the sad thing is I didn't see anything else about it at all. So if you hadn't have said that, I wouldn't have even thought that was going to happen, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I'm appreciating Henry Cavill more as the years have gone by. Maybe it's just because like I don't have that next Superman. I don't have more Superman. So like the more I've like went back and rewatched some of these things, even on my list, of when we get to our list here in a minute, you'll see that the Superman is a little bit higher than where it used to be. I've kind of got a little bit more of an appreciation for it over time, and so seeing him again just brought a lot of. It reminds me of like seeing Toby as Spider-Man
Yeah.
again, and where I was like, I didn't realize that I wanted that much, and it was kind of the same thing when I
I feel
saw.
that that's me with Andrew Garfield though. So
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
get you. I
The
get
same
you.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I thought about. I thought it was great. It got me excited. That was, I said that my favorite scene was the song scene, but that was my favorite moment of the whole movie, which again is kind of sad because it's a mid-credit scene, but whatever. Yeah.
You're not alone. I've seen a lot of people say it. All right, Peeps.
Well, I'm surprised Frigginz didn't say anything about the suit because I thought that suit was super shiny.
It was shiny.
It was a very, I don't know, heroic kind of entrance, and I didn't catch the little swirl. Frigginz wouldn't shut up about the swirl. I'm like, oh, there's a swirl. All right. And like you said, with the classic music and all that there too. Yeah, man, it's I'm all for it, and I'm very curious. Like, what do you think how do you think that conversation went after that? And do you think we'll ever see that? I feel like he's just gonna be like, hey, like she doesn't speak for me, that she's a little much. But you gotta, we have a little bit of rules today. We have a lot of stuff like TikTok. You don't want to get canceled on there, so you should probably, yeah. I don't know. Or did he just like straight up like
We're not going to
threaten
see
him?
this.
Or did he straight up threaten him? I don't know.
He wouldn't threaten.
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like he could. He'd be a very subtle, like, hey, how about we just don't get out of line? We'll have a good time. We'll have a good time, you and I. I'm a good old farm boy. I don't want no trouble. I don't know. But no, man, it was a fun scene. Great seeing them back. And like you said, DX just kind of brought up all those old, feelings and emotions like, oh wow, I really do love this guy as Superman, and I really do want to see him back as Superman. And like you said, with Henry Cavill kind of announcing it like, hey, I just wanted to let the weekend go by, let everybody watch the movie. I can't really keep this in anymore. Yes, Superman is coming back, and there are projects in the works. So like, yeah, really good, really great. I would have liked to see Shazam there with him. I think that would have been a pretty good flex. I mean, having Superman there, but having Shazam there too, to just kind of, I don't know, just like Black Adam is Shazam's Joker. Like, I just don't see why he wouldn't be there. But now they're kind of, I think maybe in the DC cinematic universe, maybe it's going to be more Black Adam and Superman. And if they change that, I'm not going to be upset about it. I don't have to have a Shazam versus Black Adam movie. I just was kind of thinking that's where they're going to go. So
yeah, if you really want to flex on him, you'll have the Bat in the background just scowling at him.
He'll be like way over there though. This Batman kid is nowhere near. Just like where he was with Doomsday. He was way over there.
He ain't dumb. He's building the plan.
Exactly. No, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, let's talk box office as we always do, opening weekend. So Black Adam, the number one film in the world, $67 million opening, the highest of The Rock's career, which is really interesting with him as a leading man. So obviously Fast and Furious doesn't count, stuff like that, where it's an ensemble film, but him as a leading character, I think the previous record was Hobbs and Shaw, where it did about 60. 67 is the biggest. So, I mean, very cool there, and a massive 140 million on a global haul for the weekend. So I know early estimates had this movie coming in about 60 for the weekend. So overperforming that, which is always great to see. And honestly, I know it's hard sometimes with openings, right? Because we're getting kind of jaded with a lot of these movies, especially Marvel movies, right? Like, Thor coming out and making 150 million, and Doctor Strange 2 making 190 million, and all this stuff, right? Like big openings. Again, you got to think unknown character, and also an origin story. And when you look at origin stories, you know, Aquaman made 65 million when it opened, you know, and then went on to make $1 billion. You know, Wonder Woman only made, you know, $60 million. Like, you know, Suicide Squad only made 20 million last year when it came out.
Yeah.
You know, even when you go back to phase one, the first Captain America movie was like 50 mil. The first Thor was 55 mil. You know, those movies, those origin movies are never typically big, knock the doors off box office. It's always the sequels. It's always the ones down the road that kind of bring everything kind of up. So this falls in line with that and then puts it in a good spot. So we'll see where it goes over there. So one thing I wanted to touch on real quick is the future of the DCEU. Now, the only thing we know for sure that we're getting at this point, we know we got Shazam: Fury of the Gods coming out in March, and then we have hopefully the Flash coming out this summer in maybe July if anything else doesn't happen, and then we have Aquaman 2 coming out the end of next year. So those are done. We also have Blue Beetle coming down the road as well too. We don't have a release date for that one yet, but maybe they'll slide it in somewhere next year as well.
Static Shock
now
too? I'm just kidding.
No Static Shock. A lot of other projects been canceled thanks to the new leadership. So a lot of that stuff has gone by the wayside. But that's what we have confirmed at this point. Now we know Henry Cavill's back. There's starting to be articles that have come out saying they're looking for writers and directors for a Superman sequel. And obviously the producers of the Black Adam movie have said, you know, hey, we're going to move quick on a sequel to this thing, right? Like it took 15 years to make this first one. We're not waiting around. We want to go where the iron's hot, and we want to make that sequel. So let's go. So just kind of not necessarily just about what's coming, but what are you guys excited about? Where do you think the road is going? Kind of what are you hoping to see? One big thing that I'm kind of, like I said, I hope we get kind of down the road, and this kind of will fix the whole Superman Shazam thing, is a Kingdom Come movie. I really do think that that's kind of the direction that we would go. And kind of a loosely based Kingdom Come, right? Like how Civil War was, where it's not really a direct literal like translation of it, but I can see a movie called Kingdom Come where it's basically Shazam teaming up with Superman and having to take down Black Adam, right? Like and kind of going from there, because we do need to get Shazam in there, but I don't know, depending on how well the sequel does, I don't know how well Shazam will carry that movie, right? Like, I mean, that franchise is kind of the lower end of the DCEU. It's kind of hit and miss. I love it to death, but for the general public, like the box office is Superman and Black Adam, not really Shazam and Black Adam. But Shazam needs to be there because, like you said, it is his Joker, and they do belong together. So a Kingdom Come movie, you know, I still think we'll get like some sort of Man of Steel 2 first, and we'll kind of go from there, and then that'll lead into, you know, maybe Shazam going and saying, I need your help, right? Maybe Shazam gets his ass kicked by Black Adam at some point, and he's like, yo, I need your help, like with this guy. I can't handle this on my own. Whatever the case may be, and then we kind of get, that'll be like sort of their Justice League kind of movie, right? Where it can kind of be maybe even more heroes kind of going up against Black Adam, right? So it's just a way to kind of bring everything together. So that's just an idea I had. But other than that, I mean, because we're still doing a lot of spin-offs. We got Joker 2 coming. We got another Batman movie coming with Robert Pattinson. But we know those are kind of Elseworld movies. They're not in the DCEU. So where do we think the future of the DCU is going? I don't know if you guys have pondered that thought, but what's your idea there? You know, Frigginz, I'll throw it to you.
I think I was gonna suggest tossing it back at Pete since he let me go first last time, but I saw him shake his head no, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it. My biggest thought is let me have Black Adam be Thanos, like not that, but like the big fight, like
the big bad.
I feel like we just got established that like how much of a badass he is. So let's play into it. Like you have The Rock, like make him be the big foil. He would love to be like, I'm so tough, you have to have the whole Justice League come after me, right? He would eat that up. So I think that's what you need to do is you need to have not only Superman and Shazam team up, but I want him to be the next Justice League villain that they have to all come together to take on. And maybe he teams up with someone too, you know, make it a little bit harder. And you got to give the other guys some people to fight. So I don't know where that could go per se, but I want to see him kind of be the Thanos level threat. I hope that he would be willing to go full on bad and not have to be the bad guy that like actually becomes good guy at the end. Like, you know, they're fighting him at first, but then they have to team up and fight Trigon or something. You know, I want to see him be the villain and be the reason why everyone has to team up. That's my biggest thing. As far as anything else DC goes, there's really two things on my list that I really, really, really want. And one is a Nightwing. I want to see Nightwing, and two is Green Lantern. I also want to see.
They have Nightwing already.
No, I want to see
Titans season 4, baby.
Nightwing
Debuts in about 4. a week.
I want to see a Nightwing movie.
HBO Max coming next week.
But yeah, so those are my DCEU.
Yeah, and let's not forget too, there is Wonder Woman 3 coming as well too. The Patty Jenkins said she just finished the script for that, so I'm hoping that actually takes place in the current timeline since the other two movies have been flashbacks. So I would love to see her pick up after Justice League and kind of what's next, you know. So that is another one on the docket, by the way. So, Peeps, what's your thoughts, man? What are you thinking?
Man, it's it's difficult for me. I'm not as versed as Frigginz is in the DC comic book world. I don't know of any like really big events that have happened that would be good to see on screen. I know one of the most obvious that kind of comes up is the Blackest Night, but you have to have a Green Lantern Corps to actually get there. But it wasn't just a Green Lantern thing, right? Like it actually impacted everybody.
Correct, but it's all centered around the lanterns. So,
right, exactly. Yeah. But you know, just in terms of where I would like to see us go, like that's really all I can think of in terms of something that everyone's connected to. Yeah, no, I really got nothing. I think just really introducing bigger bads and Frigginz, I know you're saying like to have Black Adam be the next Thanos level threat. Like I don't see that. Like I would like to see a Brainiac kind of pop up first or
too.
Yeah.
But like I don't think like I think that's so much more than just Man of Steel. Like I don't know. I think Brainiac could be like a huge global kind of issue that a Justice League would have to kind of come together to deal with, just like they did with Ultron. But I don't know. Like I don't want to see Black Adam as like the big bad that everybody has to defeat, because eventually they'll just have to kill him, and then we're not going to get any more. Like I like DJ, and I like the Black Adam, and I want to see more movies of him. And he's doing things that nobody else agrees with. He's killing. He's like he's like the Superman Punisher of DC, and I want to see that, and I want to I want that to continue. Yeah. And yes, I do want a Batman v Black Adam movie where they do go at it, and or Superman v Black Adam. I don't know what Batman.
Batman ain't doing shit.
I was agreeing with you. I was like, yeah,
he ain't doing shit.
Right. Yeah.
That's a real quick movie.
He grabs an Eternium or whatever that metal is suit. He's like, oh, it's all Eternium. No, whatever.
That's right. He's got a plan.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't want. I'm sorry, Frigginz. I don't agree with that. I want to see more of him. I want to see him work with the Justice League, and maybe while he's working with the Justice League, he's kind of that loose cannon that's going off and doing his own thing. And like, dang it, I'll go with him, says Aquaman, and he starts flapping his way. I don't know, but I don't know. That's my thing. But yeah, in terms of big events, I don't. I would like to see a Brainiac. What other like. Let's have Black Adam fight with them when they go up against Darkseid. I think that would be great.
That would be
cool. I mean, Darkseid is the Thanos, right? I would think.
No, true.
Well,
yeah.
But yeah.
No, it is. Very, very cool. All right. Well, that wraps us back around to final thoughts and scores before we get to our big countdown. So overall wrap. And of course, where would you rank it out of 5 stars or 5 lightning bolts, whatever you like to do at this point? So, Frigginz, what you got?
So for me, I'm gonna have to only give it 3 out of 5 lightning bolts. I had a good time with it. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but at the end of the day, it had enough problems that it kind of pulled me out of the movie experience a little bit. And I've said it many times before. If you have something that pulls me out of that, it's going to bring you down a little bit. Yeah, 3 out of 5. And really, all I can say is my experience for it was so like very just. It was fun. It didn't rock my world. It didn't disappoint me. It wasn't like I didn't want to get up and leave, but I also was like, I don't ever have to watch that again. I'm good. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for me. Good time. It was fun. I enjoyed being there, but I'm good now.
Okay. Peeps.
I am with Frigginz, but I want to give this movie another shot. I think knowing what I know now in terms of where the plot is going, I want to rewatch it to see like maybe I'm just expecting something, and the seeds that they're planting on the way and the way that the story unfolds is a lot better than what I have in my head. Maybe I was too busy talking to actually really pay attention to what's going on. I don't know. I will stick with my beef on the too many pieces of other movies that fail to give it its own unique feel, though it does have a lot of unique elements to it. It just takes from a lot, which, like Friggin said, kind of distracts me. It's almost like I kind of want to do a comparison, like how many things did it get from, but then I can get nitpicky and do that with every other film that's been out there as well. That also takes bits from other movies. So we're not going to do that. But yeah, man, I stop it. When I kind of think about everything like said and done, I think I would give this 4 Shazams, and potential to go down, potential to go up, after I watch it again. So it's a very tentative 4 Shazams.
Okay, fair enough. I agree with you on the second viewing thing, right? That's why you'll notice when we do these a lot. I have always already seen it twice.
Yeah.
Because it's because Friggins, I know he's always like one and done and I'm good. But like to me, like I feel like we go, especially with these big comic book movies, I feel we go in so much, right, with these preconceived notions in our heads because we've been hyping these movies for years, right? Since the announcement, since the casting, since the first trailer and the second trailer and blah blah blah. And then opening night comes, and in our head, we're like, we think this is gonna happen, we think that's gonna happen, and da da da. And then when it doesn't do some of that stuff, you're just like, well, maybe I didn't like it as much as I thought, blah 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 blah. When you go that second time, I'm telling you guys, when you go that second time, all that shit's out the window because you've seen the movie. So you really get to go and just watch it as a fan. You get to just sit down with your popcorn and just be like, I'm just going to enjoy it now, right? Because now it's not unraveling, it's not unfolding, it's not where's it going to go? Like, what's going, and you almost pick up on more stuff, and you do catch little
Sure.
Easter eggs, and you catch little things that are said and things that are done that you never would have saw in that first showing. So I highly recommend 2 showings, for these big movies, just to have that that original overexcited kind of notion out the window and get to just enjoy it for what it is. I really do enjoy it. Sometimes I enjoy it way more the second time, for those same reasons. So for me, like I said, when I rank movies, I really do it off of my enjoyment level. How did I feel? Did it give me what I wanted? Did I have a good time? And is it something I want to sit down and watch again? And that's immediately what I thought. Like I said, when I got home, first thing I said to my wife was like, because my wife was like, I don't even care to really go see this. And I was like, you're going to go see this weekend. Like, we're going, we're taking the daughter, like, we're going to go watch this movie. And, she ended up liking it. Like, and, and like I said, my daughter liked it more than she thought. And it just, I just want to have a good time. And for me, it was The Rock, it was the action, it was the humor. Yes, we can nitpick. Yes, there was things that could have been better. But for me, it was just, what was the experience? Did I walk out being like, hell yeah, that was tight as hell? And that's what I did, you know. Like I said, Geeky Pat, same thing, totally agreed with me. We walked out, we were like, that was amazing. His wife was even like, that was awesome. Like, we were all just like so geeked when we walked out of the theater. And so I give it 5 stars. Like, for me,
Ooh,
it's really
Nice.
just about that enjoyment level. Do
I
I want to
dig it.
watch it again? Did I have a good time? And that's what I did. So it stands out for me big time. So absolutely loved it. Probably will see it a third time before I leave theaters. Almost
Nice.
went and saw it again while I was in Phoenix today and saw that IMAX. I was like, oh, the times didn't quite line up, but I was very tempted. Very
I
tempted.
would love to see like a DX YouTube video of you breaking down what you the joy you get out of movies, because like
Yeah.
I wanna see things from like your perspective and your viewpoint. So I don't know. You got to figure something out. So
Well, what's
I'm
funny
putting
is
it out
like
there.
as you were describing your exact reasons why you enjoyed it, and you came out of there instantly having those feelings, it made me just realize like we're on the same level. It's just I had a different experience of it. Like when I walked out, I was just kind of like, okay, that was fine, and that's where my rating went.
It's
And
a different level.
no, I'm saying like as far as we're judging these off of our experiences, right? Our experiences were different, but it was funny like hearing you talk about like walking out and how you felt. I was like, that's exactly me. It's just my feeling was not
I
the
just
same.
hated it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but I don't know. But it's
My
so,
feeling was just
so
I
fun.
never need to see this thing again.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's what it
Maybe
was.
if it was in black and white. No,
I mean, I watched the
Yeah,
Batman
exactly.
budget. I watched the Batman.
Where's the noir version?
It's called
No, but it
Black Adam.
is.
Give me that black and white.
Yeah.
How did DX? How did you even feel about the end? Like they didn't call him Black Adam once in the movie, and it's like, oh, you need
I
a
was
new
fine
name.
with it. I liked the little wink at the end, right? Like they called him Teth Adam again at the end. He's like, well, that's kind of dated, right? Like the kid said. And then,
Yeah.
well, what should we call you? Dun, 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 right? And then the credits, you know, Black Adam. Like, so
Yeah.
you
Then
did
you
get
get
an
the
after credit
Fantastic
scene
Four.
though. Amanda Waller, you know, called him Black Adam when the little drone came down. So
Yeah.
you know, it did get out there. The word did get
The
out
word
there.
has
So
spread.
I liked it. It actually threw my mother-in-law off because we went over to my in-laws' house yesterday for lunch, and she went and saw it, and she was like, "They never called him Black Adam," like, and she was so perturbed by that. She was like, "I was like, who's Black Adam?" I was like, "It was The Rock," and she's like, "I know, but they never called him that." Like she was just so stuck.
Is it the
and hung up
bird
on that.
guy? Is that Black
Is it
Adam?
the
Yeah,
bird
exactly.
guy?
Is that Black Adam?
He was in it a lot. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, exactly. It is. It's all about that experience when you walk out, like where you like, hell yeah, like you know, like that was just fun. That gave me, you know, what I wanted, and you know, that's where sometimes you got to, you know, lean on it because you know you could do the over critique thing, right? Like there's a lot of critics out there, and this is a pure example of this movie from a. If you go on Rotten Tomatoes, this thing is like 50% critics and 90% audience. Like
Wow.
that's a drastic difference, right? Critics are like nitpicking, like, oh, the story's not deep enough. Oh, the cinematography, like it's a lot of the friggin' stuff, right?
It's
Like
not
so they're
for
just
them
like
though. It's for the fans,
exactly,
obviously. Yeah.
exactly. And the fans, it's a 90%. It's one of the highest critically from an audience standpoint for a comic book movie, you know. And when The Rock tweeted about it, he's like, thank you for the audience score because all I do is want to please the audience, right? That's why the Superman thing happened. He's like, I listened to the audience and I want to deliver to the audience. And we were just trying to deliver a fun, action-packed movie, and that's what they did. And I've seen a lot of critics be like, well, the story wasn't deep enough, and I wanted some Dark Knight level stuff. And it's like, dude, it's fucking Black Adam. Like, calm down. Like no one's trying to make an Oscar movie over here. Like, I don't get critics sometimes. Like when you have that drastic of a difference, something's wrong. Like something is really wrong. Like you should be within 10 to 20% both ways as a swing.
Yeah.
And this is so just like God,
dramatic. Yeah.
you know, but it shows you that most fans that are going in for what it is are leaving happy and giving it a thumbs up, you know, and that's really cool to see. So, you know,
I compared this movie a lot to Amazing Spider-Man. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but I enjoy Amazing Spider-Man.
First one or the second one?
The second one.
Oh, see, yeah, that
Yeah,
sucks.
I know. We've talked about
The
this.
first one's great. The first one's
Yeah,
great.
I like the
That's
first
why I
one.
needed to.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
you
We're
failed
done.
to leave that 2 off there,
We're done.
Peeps.
Yeah, you did.
What did you? Where does this movie stand in your top 12 Frigginz? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's underrated.
Okay, well, we'll pivot. So it's time for the updated DCU countdown. If you've seen our spoiler reviews before, even for Marvel, we always like to add in the new film and count them down. We are talking about the DCEU Direct, so movies like Joker, and what else was it? Like the
The
new Batman,
Batman.
stuff like that, are not a part of this countdown. This is part of the DC cinematic universe that began with Man of Steel and kind of chugged along from there. So we have, what was it, 12 films on the DCEU docket, and we'll count them down. So, Frigginz, I'll throw it back to you. Where are we going?
All right. So for me, I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way up. I got Wonder
That's what we
Woman.
always do.
I was just in case we have any.
Have
new
we ever
listeners.
started at number 1?
In case we ever have any new listeners, I'm just letting them know. So way in there at the bottom is Wonder Woman 1984, and then I have Justice League, the Joss Whedon cut, and then
Justice League.
Joss. Yes, exactly.
Justice League.
And then bumping up a slight hair is Man of Steel, and then Aquaman. Although I feel like
I love how built up. Superman's really moved up, and it's still the
It's the
fucking
same.
bottom of the list.
It's literally the same as where it was
I thought it
before.
was
Thank you,
Nope.
Peeps. Thank
It's
you.
the
It's not
same. I
fucking
still have
moved.
it.
Oh,
Jesus
I could have sworn it
Christ.
went up one.
Oh my god!
I feel like if
I'm
I
so
watched
excited.
it, I honestly thought it went up.
I
one.
thought it would at least beat the first Suicide Squad movie.
God.
So then after that, I have at
Jeez.
number 9 Aquaman, and then I have at 8 the first Suicide Squad movie. Then at number 7 is where I have Black Adam coming in. Number 6, Birds of Prey. Number 5, Batman v Superman. Number 4, Shazam. Number 3, the Zack Snyder Justice League. And then 2 and 1 was a close battle, but I'm going to leave the Suicide Squad at number 2, and of course Wonder Woman at number 1. And that's my 12. This is the correct order.
That is the really wrong order. All right, Peeps, let's salvage this a little bit. I hope you have a better countdown.
I think so. Number 12, Wonder Woman 84.
I need hope. Hope. It's all about hope.
Well, number 11 is Batman v Superman.
See, the S stands for super, not for hope.
Okay. Number 10 is the original Suicide Squad. Number 9 is the Justice League.
The Justice League.
Number 8 is Birds of Prey. Number 7 is Shazam.
Wow.
Number 6 and 5, they're just like, they keep limbo in each other. But number 6 is original Wonder Woman. Number 5 is Aquaman. And number 4 is where I'm going to slide in Black Adam.
All right.
Top 3 goes Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and the Suicide Squad as the number 1 best DC movie of all time so far.
Fair.
Until they have a Booster Gold movie.
Maybe a cameo in Blue Beetle.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So
shows how
here's the
how
correct
it's
list.
supposed to look. Okay.
Yeah.
As the real DC fan around here. So coming in at number 12, I think we're all in agreement, Wonder Woman 1984. So
Yeah.
coming in dead last there. Coming in at number 11 is a movie Fred had way too fucking high, and that is Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Decent movie, but should not be any higher. Number 10 is the first Suicide Squad movie. Number 9 is Wonder Woman. Number 8 is Shazam. Number 7 is Aquaman. Number 6 is where Black Adam falls for me. So Black Adam comes in number 6. Number 5 is The Suicide Squad.
Wow.
Number 5. Coming in number 4 is and I know that y'all put this one really low, but so I'm gonna say the Justice League. And for me again, I'm gonna always vouch, not saying that this is the best movie in the world, but for me again, as a lifelong DC fan, seeing the Justice League together on screen was badass, regardless of the movie.
Yeah,
And it was good for me. So number 4.
fair.
Number 3 is Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Number 2 is Man of Steel, and number 1 is the Zack Snyder Justice League. I don't know how anything can really top that film. We have a 4-hour epic that really just did more than I think any other film. It's really not. I mean, it's the Infinity War and Endgame put together.
Right.
It just does so much that I don't think you could ever accomplish in any other individual movie.
We should break down each one in its own chapter.
Yes.
So that kind of, you know, how I feel about the Avengers always kind of being on top for the Marvel stuff. I feel like that Justice League movie with Zack Snyder's version is going to be really hard if anything could pull that out. As much as I love, like I said, Man of Steel, you know, being my number 2 from a solo standpoint, it's so hard to fight that Justice League movie. It's just so epic on every damn level. So that's our countdown, guys. Woo! And that also brings us to the end of our show. So again, thank you so much for tuning in for our Am I Still on the Air Black Adam spoiler review. Always a fun time. We're coming in right under the 2-hour mark
as
on
always.
This one. So this is actually a little bit we usually always land right at 145, so we've gone about 10 minutes over. But you know, we had a lot to talk about, so it's all good. So let's go around, let's see where the peeps can find all of y'all and what you got going on. Frigginz, I know you got a lot going on. Let's talk about it. Where can they find you, and talk about your endeavors?
I will try to be brief. First and foremost, you can find me here on Red Dragons Radio doing the Am I Still on the Air episodes as a guest, as well as guesting on the People's Forum. So Am I on the Air, or Am I Still on the Air is a show, but it's on the Am I on the Air podcast app. Anyway, also on reddragonsradio.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Frigginz. That's Frigginz, Frigginz with a Z. And recently I've been diving into the TTRPG, or like live play Twitch streaming, like Dungeons and Dragons kinds of games. I have a show that I am on called Become Legend, and it's
that like the Critical Role guys?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Critical Role guys, only way less popular.
I've heard of that.
Way cooler.
Oh, thank you, sir. But we are on the Free Forge network, and there's a whole bunch of shows on there that are super cool, super fun, especially if you like TTRPGs or D&D or Critical Role. So if you like to check out live streaming games like that, go ahead and check us out on twitch.tv/thefreeforge. I also stream Another Game with Friends on twitch.tv/mead-and-friends for some other D&D action. So a couple different spots on there, but just follow me on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll post out a lot of notices.
Beautiful. All right, peeps, tell them.
I got a podcast. It's called the People's Forum.
Oh, it's the People's Forum. What do you talk about on the People's Forum?
I talk about exactly what we talked about today. Just more of and a lot more ands and ums as I speak. But yes, that is my thing. Every Monday I try to give it you guys a Marvel DC cinematic experience. I talk about a movie, I talk about a TV show, I talk about rumors. DONMEGA loves to hear about all my rumors because he's like, where the hell did you get all that from? I'm like, the internet, Don. What do you think?
I'm on, none of that shit is happening. But thanks for telling us about it.
Yup, it is true. So yeah, that is my thing. For my peoples, for those of you that are listening, that's number 4, my peoples, at Twitter, if you want to follow me and then tell me how amazing you think I am. Or Frigginz and DX, they're going to be on hopefully next week to talk about everything there is to talk about of She-Hulk and how much we loved and or hated it. So yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, it's a thing. Check it out. Also on reddragonsradio.com. All right, I'm going to step away.
Alrighty, and of course, as you know, this is the spinoff of Am I on the Air, our normal show that typically airs every Monday night, but it won't be this Monday night because we did this. So we'll have a new episode tomorrow instead, to make up for it. So I do not have the energy to do a whole nother show right after this one. So we're gonna hold off. So new episode this week on Tuesday,
Good.
typically on Mondays. At the bottom below, you can see everything you need to know. AmIOnTheAir.com, all the Twitters, all the socials. We're on everything, so make sure you follow at Am I on the Air, and of course you can follow me directly at DXDonMega. But yeah, AmIOnTheAir.com is where you can really get to everything very easily, with links to all the socials and everything like that. Make sure you follow on the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTubes, everything. Subscribe and support your boys. So support everybody on here, man. We love what we do, and I think you have a good time listening. So thanks again for everybody listening and hanging out for 2+ hours now. At this point, we really appreciate y'all. And for those of you that are listening, thanks for listening. For those of you watching, thanks for watching. And until next time, y'all. Peace.